welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel and also our good friends over at WDW Magazine. We've heard a lot from them lately. We had Danny, we had Stephanie, so they've been on, and we just want to reinforce, help support WDW Magazine, help make DCL Magazine a continuing and ongoing thing. Head over to DCL-magazine.com to sign up for your float test issue of the WDW DCL Extravaganza Magazine. Article from yours truly in there before I'm stealing Sam's thunder on that one because she says it every time I do this promo.
That's true.
And they've got the newest calendar out. They've got the newest WDW Magazine calendar out right now. It does sell out, and you can get 10% off of that calendar and everything in their store using code DCL Duo, all caps DCL Duo.
And don't forget, if you message them and poke them about creating a DCL only calendar, because that's what we're really pushing for now. We want them to create a DCL
don't
only.
unleash our fan base on our sponsor for feedback, Sam. That's not cool.
If they have enough interest, I think they're definitely wanting it. I mean, we were talking about that with them. I think that could be coming. I think that they know that there's interest in it. So keep, just telling them that there is interest in it. So yeah, I'm just saying, like, on the socials, you don't need to like call them and I don't know, harass them.
Do not call and harass them.
Don't call and harass them.
That does not help support the show. No.
Message them on the social saying, we want a DCL only calendar. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Sam, we've got friends. Podcasting is so much more fun with friends.
The best guests on. I'm so excited to have Kaley and Karen on from My Path Unwinding Travel. Welcome, ladies. We are so happy to have you on.
Hello, friends.
It's so good to see both of you. Look at your cute hats. Spoiler alert. So we're going to be talking about the Star of the Seas that Karen and Kaley went on a preview sailing for. It is the newest ship in the Royal Caribbean Fleet. I guess she maidens this week, maybe today. I don't even know what her maiden voyage is like. I think it's this week, if it's not today. Do we know?
They've kind of moved it around a bit. It's technically later in the month, and then the ship was actually ready earlier than expected. So then they added some additional earlier sailings, special opportunities, and I know that some folks that were booked on the Maiden were a little disappointed that there would be more sailings before theirs. But hey, at least the ship will be ready. There'll be lots of opportunities to shake it down and get all the kinks out.
Better early than late, right?
Yeah. Right. And better to have all that practice to be a well-oiled machine and have everything open on the maiden voyage. Whereas, we always know from a lot of these preview cruises, sometimes the offerings are somewhat limited. Maybe not all the dining venues are fully open. Maybe not all the shows are up and running, or maybe like not all the water slides or things are up and running, right? So like it's kind of nice when they have a lot of shakedowns before, whether they're media previews, travel agent previews, or crew previews. It's really nice when you've got a ship that's well-oiled machine.
I gotta ask, is pink a thematic color for the ship, or just the color you two chose to get your hats in?
So the hats that were given out were random, and they were a selection of pink, purple, aqua, sort of My Path Unwinding Travel blue, and green, and we just happened to get 2 pink ones.
There you go. All right. Well, I love the matching hats. I love it. I did notice you sent that photo over pre-show, Karen, of you behind the Star of the Seas sign, and it was like purple. It was all purple. It was like purple all over the place, and I was like, they're really leaning into these colors, so that's fun. That's fun.
There was definitely a purple, pink, blue motif going, and they really elevated it for our sailing with incredible floral arrangements.
Nice. Well, we got a lot of ship to cover because I was saying off air, my background tonight, for those of you listening after the fact, again, head over to YouTube because we've got a great PowerPoint that's going to walk through some visuals along with the show. We will be sure to describe them throughout for those who are fixed on listening to audio only, but head over to YouTube if you want to check out some of the visuals from the ship. I've got Icon of the Seas behind me. I couldn't find a Star of the Seas. I'm trying to move the right direction here, but I've got Icon of the Seas behind me in my background today. So a lot of ship to cover. I'm going to move us into your PowerPoint view here. Karen, let's see if I can get this.
I gotta give a shout out in the chat to the Holgate family. I'm sure that's Steven, but I love that you're watching, Steven. The Holgate family are such an amazing family. They have their own YouTube that's way bigger than our YouTube. They're awesome. But I love that Steven's catching a live tonight.
Oh, and
That's
Leia's
awesome.
watching, Karen. No pressure.
Oh,
Leia's
watching also. Look at all the fun. Yeah, we've got Tracy in the chat. We've got Ashley in the chat, jet lagged from just getting back from the UK. We've got Matthew Kowalski in the chat. Love it. Yeah. So hi everyone who's watching. Yeah.
So Karen, where should we start our discussion of Star of the Seas? Where do you want to start?
I kind of organized the photos in a way that I thought made sense. And, starting off with just the enormity of the ship.
Yes.
Because it does start out feeling enormous. And I think that's one of the questions that, people have is, how big is it really? And am I ever going to find my way around? And is it going to be too big? And I don't, even this very directionally challenged person, that's me, figured my way around with only 3 nights. And if you sail on the Star, you will have 7, and it will end up feeling like an incredible resort at sea. So
Yeah.
think we can kind of start talking about some of the public spaces.
Let me ask a couple questions here, though. So it's going to be doing 7-night itineraries. Is that like Eastern, Western Caribbean itineraries? And then this is sister ship to the Icon, right? So this is the largest ship currently sailing, largest cruise ship currently sailing, tied with the Icon. And so how many passengers are we talking?
About 5,600 at double capacity.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big ship.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember, can be more because there are many triples and quads and above. But what's interesting is they're trying to find a little angle to make it, to add some excitement, because the Icon was the biggest ship. Technically, the Star is a tad bigger with a tad fewer passengers, which is interesting. They tweaked some
Oh.
minor things on board. So in terms of size, it's a little bigger. In terms of passengers, it's a tiny bit smaller, like 58 passengers smaller or something like that.
Interesting. Well, that's a fun little piece of trivia.
I'm trying to remember what the double occupancy is on the Adventure, because it's like 6,000. I thought was its capacity.
Yes.
So that would
Yes.
mean this one holds fewer people, but is larger shipwise. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you think about it, for, the Disney passenger, most of us are used to a 4,000 person ship or a 2,500, 2,400, 2,500 person ship. So it is certainly bigger. We have been on Icon, or not Icon, Oasis class ships that are bigger. I think those are more like 5,000 passengers. So this would be, probably more like 6,000 passengers if it's really like full with lots of families sailing on board. All right. Well, you mentioned these public sort of spaces. What are we looking at here?
This is the Aquadome area, which is unique on Icon class. Those of you who have sailed on Royal Caribbean ships or have learned about Royal Caribbean ships know that there is an aqua theater on many of the ships that is outside, where they do an aquatic show. On Icon class, it is inside, and it is inside this gorgeous dome that during the day is this beautiful relaxation area with lots of unique seating areas and gorgeous views.
Is this adult only?
This is not adult only.
Okay.
This is just a public area on the ship. It's not like a closed-in bar. It's hard to judge how a space will be used from the preview sailing. There were children on board. We saw some toddlers and all the way up to teenagers, but obviously because it's a preview sailing with lots of travel advisors and media and employees of Royal Caribbean, it's hard to say exactly how it'll be used, but I don't see that this will be a space that kids would tend to hang out.
Yeah. And I think Brian's like thinking that this reminds him of like the solarium on the
Yeah.
Oasis
Yeah.
class ships, right? Because the solarium is sort of this windowed in indoor space that has like some water stuff. It's got some food
Mhm.
stuff like inside. And so it kind of, it has that look about it, even though it's obviously a public space for all ages. Um, Now, so this is where they do the water show with the divers and everything then?
Yeah. We
It's
have a
just
picture
out
of
of the
that
frame of the
later.
photo. Yeah, it's just out of the
Right.
frame of the photo, sort of to the left. But it is the same space that on previous ships has been the solarium, that with the 18 plus area. So that's why you're associating it with it. And the aqua theater has been in the aft of the ship previously. So this is definitely a change for the design.
Yeah, I am super excited to see how they incorporate that aqua thing because it takes up the whole back of the ship. So like I'm
Mhm.
really interested to see how that fits in here. Tracy is wondering, is this area air conditioned? Because it seems like an area that could get pretty hot.
It
Yes
is air
and yes.
conditioned. And there's no water feature in here. This is just a lounging area.
Oh,
Mm.
nice.
There's actually, I don't think in this photo, some kind of cool spaces that you take up. They're like little tree houses almost. I don't know how else you would
Oh,
describe it. You go
cool.
up a little set of stairs, and then there's a little seating area that looks out. So a super, kind of private, intimate place. Really, just again, a lot of unique nooks and crannies here.
Nice.
Love that.
Nice. All
Alright,
right.
Brian, let's move to
I'm
the
moving.
next slide.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going. There we go.
Okay, Kaylee, why don't you tell us about what this space is?
So this is the Surfside neighborhood. The ship is divided into neighborhoods, and this is
Mhm.
the Surfside sort of most family friendly part of the ship, right? So on previous ships, and I'd been on other Oasis class, this is the boardwalk area. So it's sort of that same theming, but they've changed it and tweaked it a little bit. And you can see there are some staterooms that are Surfside facing. So instead of being interior rooms, they look out over this area that's just filled with all kinds of activities. There's a carousel and an ice cream shop and a sugar shop and all kinds of like sort of fun water features. And it's all open up top, like open air, just like the boardwalk area would be. And it goes right back towards the aft of the ship, just like it does on the previous ships. But then there's not the aqua dome back there, or I'm sorry, the aqua theater back there, the way that we were sort of expecting. Instead, there was a big sort of splash pad area and lots of fun for the kids.
So
This
this is
looks
like,
really cool. This is like I remember hearing about this with Icon that like if you are a family with young kids, you might spend like 90% of your time you might spend in this like Surfside neighborhood and that
Yeah.
there's even a lot of food places and stuff sort of
Mhm.
in this neighborhood also so that you could really everything you need and that the kids clubs are also nearby if I'm remembering correctly.
so this looks like a much bigger version of what's off of an Oasis class ship. Is the Central Park area still, do they still have that kind of an area on the ship too? Wow, this thing is so big. I can't
Absolutely.
even
I think
fathom.
everything is a little bit wider, a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But you kind of, when you start thinking about it in comparison to the Oasis class, you can start mapping it
Mhm.
to understand what it all is, and it's just a little bit more. So, yeah, as mentioned, when you had Margaret and Sarah on talking about the icon last year, this is such a great area because there is food right there, like kind of like the easy, fun snack, kid friendly food. There's also kind of a casual, beachy type theme restaurant there.
Mhm.
Um, and just everything is so fun for the kids. And then if you book one of the family Surfside staterooms or suites, you're right there too.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
cool.
that's really nice and convenient if that's, like, gonna be your sort of
That's
area that you're gonna spend the most time in, that would I feel like that would be really, really
s-
nice to
so
have.
so these rooms that have the window that look out onto the balcony, those are the family suites, I think, right? Because that little alcove that comes out is where the family like bedroom situation is. Is that right?
Yeah, these ones that we're
Yes.
looking at here, yeah, you can see the veranda that's sort of in front of the adult bed, and then to the right or the left on either side, or it's the little alcove where there's
Yep.
sort of a kid-sized bed and an area that can be closed off by a curtain that you can put sort of the littles in that area. And it gives it that sweet feeling with two distinct areas. And those rooms do have a split bath also, which is a nice feature. I know.
Whoa, look at them trying to copy Disney.
I know.
Yeah, we saw a few that they added some split baths, and we can
Yeah.
get back to it. But just know that those Surfside family suites, those little areas for the kids are tiny. You really can
They
only
are.
put littles in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking like young elementary and preschoolers then for them.
Correct. Otherwise, it would be, maybe we could put one child in there otherwise, but it would be a tight.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So maybe a
Right.
Nathan now, but probably not a year from
Not for
now.
much longer. Yeah.
And he is 11 and a half. He's getting big. It's little by little.
All right. So what are we looking at here?
These are cool. I love these pictures, you guys. You did such a great job in capturing what all this is. Yeah.
You want to take this one, Karen?
Sure. So we have the entrance to Thrill Island, which is just the crazy water park on board. I don't know if we counted how many slides. At least
I
six.
think there are
Uh,
six. I think there are
six
six.
six slides of different thrill levels.
Mhm.
There is also a walk the plank type type
Oh yeah,
activity where you
it's that like
It's
zip.
a
It's kind of like a little
yeah.
zip line. Like you walk the thing, and then you get like
yeah.
dropped off to like on a zip
Yep,
line thing.
they
I've seen
tether
videos.
you, you go off the side of the ship, and then the platform that you're standing on drops, and then you are hanging and suspended, and then you kind of zip back to the ship. So that's there. The rock climbing wall is there. Nearby, I think, if my visual spatial mind remembers well, is also the flow
Oh, the
rider
flow
is
Flow
rider.
rider. Yep.
in that general area. So lots of fun things. And again, this is more on the top, one of the top decks on the ship. So this is more geared towards, your older kids and
Mhm.
adults. We do have, information about all the height minimums and all that available. On the right side is just more, pictures of the massive ship to give you an idea of the scope. I believe that's looking down at the Central Park
Hmm.
area. And then in the middle was kind of our favorite thing is the elevator lobbies. There are so many elevators. I think it's brilliantly
Yeah.
designed.
There are
We
12
every
elevators in each bank, and so you touch an iPad that's in the center and tell it what floor you want to go to, and it says what letter elevator you should head over
It
to.
has
And then you
smart.
get on the
Ugh.
elevator and there are no buttons inside, which took me, the entire time to sort of figure out, but it's very quick and very easy.
This is the smart elevator system that all the
Yeah.
office buildings in any major downtown are doing. It's much more efficient way of moving people around. We
Yes.
had heard that initially for the Wish class, Disney was planning on this style of elevator, and then it got like cut because of the cost or something, right? We don't know this for sure. That's a rumor, so I can't like verify for sure if that was what was planned, but that's what we had heard. And it makes sense, especially when you have elevators that don't all go up to the top, one or two floors. Disney, I hope you're listening. Because this is a much more efficient way of moving people around. I got to ask a question about Thrill Island. I think I know the answer to this because based on the two royal ships that I have been on, but all of Thrill Island is included, right? The flow rider, the water slides, the walk the plank thingamajig. That stuff is included, right? Not an extra cost, right?
I'm not positive about the around the anchor, the sort of zip line thing, but I believe everything else is included. Yeah, all the water slides are, the flow rider is. I believe you can book a private session for an
Right.
additional fee.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are asking, and I was wondering this too, about the water slide that has the significant drop. On the icon, obviously, it had that issue where it broke when somebody was going through it and somebody got injured. And Matthew's asking, and I'm curious whether or not because I know they have the same slide on this ship. Was it open? Were they letting people use it?
I think all the slides were open.
Okay.
Um, we saw water running through that slide for sure. And I don't think there were any restrictions on the slides that I had
Okay.
heard about or
No.
observed. Good
Okay, good.
question.
As
Yeah, I'm guessing they've been doing extra inspections of all their slides just because that obviously that got such a ton of press, and no cruise
Right.
line wants to be in the news for something like that, and so I'm guessing that they've done extra inspections to make sure that everything's, safe and ready to go. Ashley's asking how many of those 6 water slides did you all try, if anything? Kaylee's saying 0, big goose egg.
Nope.
Karen,
No
none,
slides.
okay.
No
Okay.
slides.
Nope. We should have brought Leia with us.
You should have brought yeah, Leia would have tested them out. I know.
someone's saying they
Yeah.
just watched the Ben and David, and they said the slide was not open, but I don't know if that was on Star. I know Icon slide is is
Yeah,
closed right
Icon
now.
has not
Yeah,
reopened. Yeah, they
yeah,
have not
yeah.
reopened it. I was just curious
While
about
we're
what Star.
here, I'm just gonna throw this question up, and maybe we can talk about it as we go. But like, we should talk about what activities you have to book in advance on Royal and what costs extra. So we'll talk about that as we go, Vanessa. But yes, there are definitely going to be activities on this ship that you should seek to book in advance, and things that you will have to pay for. That is 100%
Yeah.
the case.
But the stuff we've talked about so far, for example, the Flow Rider has specified times that is open for
Yep.
everyone, and you might have to wait in a line, but other than that, and same with the water slides, you might have specified times that it's open, but you might have to wait in line, but it's not a reservation unless you're doing that private lesson that Kaylee mentioned. You can do a private lesson on the Flow Rider on any of the ships actually that have them with Royal, and that is reserve and an extra cost. And so that's,
Right.
you know
And there was also mini golf up there that's available
oh,
and
fun.
included. It's just, really everywhere you turn, there's another fun nook and cranny. There's so much packed into the ship. It is really, I mean, it just feels like an amazing fun resort at sea.
And I will say, like, that adds to the fact that it doesn't feel so massive and overwhelming when you're there because it is broken up into so many different areas. And unless you're in one of the big public spaces like the Royal Promenade, you're not going to be in a space with 5,000 other people. And so the way the ship is laid out with so many small areas and nooks and crannies, like Karen said, really, really was well thought out.
Yeah.
Matthew's also on that point. Matthew's asking, with the ship carrying as many people as it does, did you ever feel like it was crowd? Did you ever feel like you were in a big crowd of people? I don't know also how full the sailing was that you were on, but I'm just curious. Did it feel crowded
I
at
I
times?
think that like on any cruise, it felt the most crowded when we were boarding.
Mhm.
Just as everybody's getting on and you walk into the promenade and you kind of are like staring around and not sure exactly where you're going next. And everybody's, saying hello. And that's when it feels the most crowded.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
And during the
even when
show
we
during the
were,
show is the other time when you're sitting and you're seeing all of these people, during the live stage show.
Yeah.
The other time
but
when we were
even
with a lot
even
of
as you
people.
were like as we were leaving the stage show, it felt like leaving any other like smallish event,
Absolutely.
like less than leaving, a big NFL game or something, I mean, you have to take your time to walk out, but the crowd quickly disperses. Some take the stairs, some take the elevator, some walk away. And so it never felt like, oh my gosh, I'm jostling around. It doesn't feel like, you know, a Disney park at fireworks time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I would say even on Oasis, which is bigger than any of the Disney ships, we felt like the only place where we could feel crowds was like, of course, Embarkation Day, but also the pool deck. At certain times in the sort of middle of the day on a sea day, the pool deck it will be like really packed. So those were the places where we felt like, okay, this is a bigger ship. This is where the crowds are. But you get that on Disney Cruise Line also. Even, the pool deck will be crowded on a beautiful sea day. So, so I'd say they do a pretty good job, like Disney does, of sort of dispersing the crowds. And the neighborhood concept, I think, is fantastic. I have to say, my favorite place on the royal ships, the 2 royal ships we've been on, has been Central Park. And I see we've got a picture of Central Park here on the left. Tell us, does it feel a lot bigger than like on, let's say, an Oasis class ship to be in Central Park, which is this big green area kind of in the middle of the ship?
It did not feel bigger to me. I mean,
Not
I've been on in Central Park before on other ships, and it felt comparable. I mean, it was some of the restaurants were the same and some were different, but the way that the paths are sort of meandering and there was so much greenery, I was very impressed with how mature a lot of it was. And in fact, I feel like there was possibly more greenery on this in this Central Park because it was all up the sides of the walls, and you can see in that picture on the left there were sort of murals on the ceilings when you walked through, and it just it felt very lush and peaceful. It was hot. I mean, it was August, so hot is expected, but it was warm in that area. But it felt peaceful and like a nice, really nice departure from sort of some of the more the louder and more sort of bright and active parts of the ship.
Speaking of louder and bright and active, I see the Central Promenade here, a fixture on every royal ship I've been on. What was that like? And I kind of need to know what that giant sphere-looking thing in the middle is.
It looks like a stage. What? Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us what that is, Karen. Yeah.
So that's the Pearl. You may have heard about it on the icon, and it is basically a beautiful domed area covering a staircase that leads up from floor 5 of the promenade. Is that right, Kaylee? Up to floor
Yep.
6. And so it is covered in tiles that move and change colors, and it just creates a beautiful photo opportunity in the promenade. Think about it, the way that I mapped it is if you think about rising tide on the Oasis class ships, that is about where it would be. And so instead of having a rising tide, it has this beautiful staircase and the pearl. And at the top of the pearl is a pearl. I don't know what they call it. Like maybe they just call it the pearl up there. It is another beautiful seating area with a large cafe. There's still Starbucks on deck 5, but on deck 6 in the pearl is another full coffee bar serving all the Starbucks coffees and serving some incredible, great, and included food items. So from your little egg bites and breakfast sandwiches and croissants in the morning to sandwiches and some Oreo cheesecake that we're going to have to talk about through
Yes.
the rest of the
Yeah.
night.
Yes.
Um, and some grab and go items too, so you can get your sandwich heated up, your egg bites heated up. They'll make your specialty coffees. So, and plenty of seating area with windows. So it's just another unique kind of architectural feature of
Yeah.
the ship that really doesn't necessarily add anything specific, but I think this is one of the great things about this ship is it's not all about where can we charge you something, where can we squeeze more people in. It's just a beautiful, unique spot.
Cool. I
This
love that.
the pearl is described as sort of this kinetic art sculpture. So if you're sort of walking through it, like Karen said, it's moving and it's this dynamic space. And it was consistent with the amount of art, of original art on this ship is staggering. Every corner there is artwork in all mediums, and some, I loved all of it, but it was like some were to my taste and some weren't. But overall, I was so impressed with the art. It's consistent through every little corner of the ship.
Nice.
Awesome. I love that. So,
We should have
Matthew,
put some of Kaylee's photos in here because Kaylee was really impressed with the art. We could probably have a whole
yeah,
podcast just on
a
the
whole
art
slideshow of
of
just
the
the art.
star.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of art on those royal ships. I mean, even walking around an Oasis ship, there was just art everywhere. I mean, they had. Do you
Yeah.
remember the binocular things? It was a binocular or a remember those you
Yes.
like
It
look
was
through
like
and it was a different scene
yeah.
each time? Yeah.
Yes. They look like those, like lookout binocular round kind of ovally things that you would see at like on like
Like a state park or
bridge or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
yeah, like you to look
Okay.
at a landmark, yeah,
yeah.
but they actually had art in them, so when you would look in them, you'd see like some kind of artwork.
Oh,
You know,
neat.
I wanna answer part of Matthew's question. Matthew's asking about the dining, what's included, what's the extra cost. You know, Royal has the drink packages, and so different levels of drink packages include different things, whether they include coffee, or, generally speaking, there are drink packages that do include like Starbucks in them, but there's like a soda package I think that doesn't include that. So there's definitely different levels, and of course the ones that include alcohol and what they include, whether it's like premium alcohol or just sort of rail level alcohol. So Royal has that, and then I would say most of the quick service food is included on Royal. It's really specialty dining is where the add-on costs are, right? So you have main dining that's included, plus lots of quick service options that are included, and then specialty dining, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit later in the slideshow, but, like, the steakhouse, the hibachi, like, those kinds of places are the add-on specialty dining, but you can do specialty dining packages, and also if you're sailing, like, suite class, some of those things there are some inclusions, depending upon what level of their suite class that you're sailing. So, we'll get to a little bit more of that when we hit the dining, but I wanted to give just that
There
overall,
was
like.
there was some quick serve on Oasis that was extra. Like, wasn't Johnny Rockets an extra
Yes,
cost?
Johnny
Yeah.
Rockets was
Johnny
extra,
Rockets.
but yeah, but I think pretty much everything
And there is
else.
not Johnny Rockets on this ship, but we'll get
Okay.
to it when we talk about dining.
Yeah.
There's so many included options that were actually really good.
Yeah, yeah, well, and here we've got this is a pool deck picture. I obviously you can tell it's the pool deck, but it looks beautiful as well.
This is the
So
swim
that's
and
the
tonic bar. And you can see
Oh,
there's a sort of a shallow area in the closer part of the picture with these large day beds.
mm,
And the chairs along the pool are sort of in the shallow part. And then in the depth of the area, you can't really see in this angle, but it's a swim up bar. So a
oh,
large like
cool.
pool area and swim up bar. Really, really nice. There were like lots of sunny areas, a good shady area. I was always seeking out those
The
shady
shady
areas.
area,
So
yeah,
it was nice that
and,
there was a good part of that area that was in the shade as well.
yeah,
and while
awesome.
this is not in the hideaway, which is the adult only pool area, based on feedback from travel advisors on the icon, they have chosen to make this an adult only pool as well because it
Oh,
does have the
interesting.
swim up bar. And, kids and swim up bars have their place, but, swim and tonic bar, it does have more of a Virgin Voyages vibe in a way.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it was a great, great space, great space.
I have to say, we
Awesome.
didn't mention this in our review of Virgin Voyages, but one of the things I absolutely loved about their pool deck was they had this special decking material that did not get hot. So you could walk on it on your bare feet. It looks like they may be using something similar here. Like, I really hope other cruise lines start to use that material because it was like so nice to be able to get out of the pool and not have to like race across a hot deck. So that was really nice.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Oh, the
The
elevator
elevator,
lobbies,
look how huge
which
this is.
which, by the way, we got 2 comments saying, "Disney, are you taking notes about the elevators?" So yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
God, it's so big. The elevator
Yeah,
lobby
it's
is massive.
huge.
And
Yeah.
see, that's only A through D, and it
Yeah.
goes like A through F on
A,
one
C, D, E,
side,
F.
and
They're
Wow,
12. Yeah,
yeah,
there are 12 of
there's
them.
Yeah.
12. And so, it's half on one, half on the other. It's absolutely massive.
wow.
Yeah.
All right,
So
okay. We're getting
here,
into staterooms because we got some questions about staterooms. So yeah, let's chat staterooms.
this is kind of this is the stateroom that Kaylee and I stayed in. We did ask the stateroom attendant to split the bed, so we had a little table in between our two twins. They can be made together as a king, um, king-ish, queen-ish.
Yeah.
Um, It's a lovely room for two people. I think technically it could have held a third on the sofa bed.
Mhm.
With that bathroom, I would say, think carefully if you want more than two in there, depending on who the third is. This is,
Well said.
however, the shower was quite spacious. I've been on other royal ships that have had smaller showers in standard balconies. They've done a nice job with the shower design. kudos to Kaley for using the word
It has a cantilevered door, so it sort of
cantilevered.
comes in, it sort of takes up half of each space when you open it, and it's not too intrusive. So it was a very well designed small bathroom.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
the
it looks
shower even has
great.
the shower has a seat in it. So, which
I was
is
gonna say.
really nice. I mean,
Good water
it's really well
pressure, but
designed.
only one product. This girl who's used to suite class was a little
Oh,
taken
yeah.
aback,
Yes,
but there
the
was
coven.
one
Yeah.
little disc of hand soap, and then there was one product in the shower that is like an all-purpose cleanser.
Right. Shampoo,
Yeah.
conditioner,
Okay.
body
Yes,
wash all
You
in
can
one.
wash
Yes.
your hair, your face, and condition.
yes,
And by the way, you can take it outside and use it on your car. Yep, it's
probably
all
so.
purpose.
It
Yeah.
was fine. It was absolutely fine. I used it the whole time. It was fine. I survived.
I gotta say that
Or,
shower looks more.
or
Oh, go ahead, Karen.
or you can pack your sponge
Yes.
jelly and feel like you're having a little taste of luxury from
Yeah.
somewhere else and not have to add liquids. But it really is, there is lots of little nooks and crannies for shelf space in the
Mhm.
shower, in the bathroom area. Kaylee and I had plenty of room. We had many unused shelves in the bathroom space. Whole drawer that I think Kaylee knew it was there. I didn't know it was there. So we never used it in the bathroom, a pretty large drawer, kind of under this to the side of the sink. Um, so it was great. And, there was a quick 60 seconds where we were concerned about the plumbing not working, and then it all got fixed. that's
Oh,
that's part of a shakedown cruise.
yes, yes. Well, you might have been the first people to stay in the stateroom, right? Even though they have multiple previews, right? But not they don't necessarily fill every room, and so
Exactly.
you could have
I,
potentially been the first people
I
to
gotta
be
say
in this particular room.
the shower looks bigger than the one that I experienced on the Independence of the Seas, so that's nice. And
Hmm.
I gotta put, you know what I love about the shower? The towels are in the shower, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So,
also love a seat in the shower because those of us
mhm.
who still, have to shave our legs, it's kinda nice to have some place to put your leg rather than trying to put it up against the wall and doing
Yes,
acrobatics in the
yes.
shower.
For those at
And
home,
Yes.
you could also
Sam's trying to demo her leg placement on live television here. So there you
Yeah.
go.
I love
Uh,
it. All right.
so
Let's look
actually, before we move on from this, so
there's
Karen,
another stateroom
no,
on
I
here.
know. I just want to ask,
Yeah.
like, this stateroom that we're looking at, feels like a fairly typical kind of mid-range stateroom on the ship. Is that fair?
I think
Absolutely.
it's one of the now it's an ocean view balcony. They do
Okay.
charge more for ocean view than they do for Central Park view or Surfside view. But otherwise very standard. And if you choose a balcony, one of those other views, it's going to be mostly similar to this. If you choose one of those standard balcony rooms, not like a family one or one with, um, and so very typical.
Okay. All right. This is clearly a step up. What are we looking at here, Karen, in terms of stateroom? I can tell this has got to be a suite.
This is a suite. Kaylee, was this your suite that you fell in love with?
I think this is the one that I was so enamored with. This is, I believe, it's a sunset suite. And we saw several sunset suites, which means they're in the aft of the ship.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this was the regular sunset suite or the corner sunset suite, which has a wraparound veranda, which was very nice. But it's an incredibly spacious room, an incredibly spacious bathroom with a tub and a double sink. And then you can see in the middle of the room with the photo with the bed, there's a curtain that you can close to sort of separate those two spaces. And the suites were they were beautiful, really beautifully finished. I mean, the colors are very relaxing. I was very impressed with this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
looks
like
gorgeous.
I liked
A
that
lot of
loft
these
suite that you guys
suites,
posted also on I think on Instagram, Karen. You had this
Yeah.
beautiful it's like the loft that we stayed in, which has the
yes.
bed up above, and then it's got
Yes.
the living room down below with the couch that turns into like a bunk bed. It's a really beautiful suite and a really nice layout as well.
Yeah. And what you'll see in a lot of suites, if you see the TV, it swings, it's up against the wall, but it swings out. But also the bed is facing the balcony, which is a really nice touch. We saw a number of suites that had that. So really great. So this is a step up. This was a sky level suite, so it
Mm-hmm.
does not have the royal genie, but it has a lot of the benefits of the concierge lounge and the concierge restaurant, and different
Yep.
priorities. But I think we have the next slide has some more suite pictures. um, there are
Ooh,
a number of suite types on this ship. I think this is one of the loft suites.
that's got to be like a
I think
This
crown.
is the I
That's
think
got to
this
be
is
a
the
crown
Royal
loft.
Loft Suite.
Royal loft. Okay.
yeah,
Royal
I
Loft
think this is
Suite.
the Royal Loft. So it's
Yeah.
2 stories. The Royal Loft has a second bedroom downstairs with its own bath. It has a wraparound balcony with a hot tub and seating area and like
And of course
service
the baby
area.
grand piano.
Yeah.
Well,
Baby gra 'cause I mean, you need one of those in
I
your
mean,
suite, right? To
every so
practice chopsticks, I guess.
I mean, when
Obviously.
I'm at sea, I'm constantly tempted tickle the ivories. No, I
Yeah, he
don't play
wants
the
to
piano. I
he
don't play the
doesn't
piano.
know. I can play Heart and Soul and chopsticks, because I took lessons when I was a kid, and that's about it.
the
Maybe I could play Mary Had a Little Lamb.
The
Yeah.
art
And
here
and
is also stunning. This art fixture, it looks like.
it's so beautiful. There's so many
So
different
beautiful.
little features in details in these suites. And I think that the ultimate family townhouse, which is, the over the top family suites on Icon and Star, they're the ones that are getting a lot of press. And we have photos of those. I did not include them in this slideshow here. Those are like over the top, really bright and colorful, and have the slide and the bunk beds and the video games. You know, it's important to know that you can have an elevated experience on these ships and have it be more subdued and relaxing and calming. You don't
Yeah.
have to go
Yeah.
over the top.
Well, and for folks at home who aren't aware, so Royal Suite class is kind of divided into three categories. They've got sea, sky, star. So it's like progressing up from the ocean in terms of the categories. And so the last suite we saw was sky class, kind of that middle ground where you get access to usually the lounge, the restaurant, the combined concierge team, but not your own butler. This has got to be star class, right, Karen?
It
Absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely is. You have a royal genie who's basically a butler, and the star class suites are all inclusive with your beverage packages, specialty dining, Wi-Fi, gratuities except for the
Laundry.
genie, laundry, yes. Very, very few things, that you would have to pay out of pocket for. There's a few specialty dining upgrades that are not included, a few experiences here and there, but a very inclusive, elevated experience. But it's, you're going to pay for that in this case.
Yeah. Although, dear Disney, this is where I want you to take notes because that is a concierge experience. It's like that
Yeah.
inclusivity of dining and Wi-Fi and laundry and all that kind of stuff like that. That really puts it over the top for us with Virgin, and it also does. Even when we sailed Sky Class on Royal, there were more amenities to Sky Class than what we've experienced sometimes in concierge and Disney. So this is an amazing looking suite, probably outside of our price range, but if anyone books this suite, we're happy to come and carry your bags for you. So,
Bring and get you espresso martinis,
yeah,
maybe.
but before we,
And
oh, go ahead.
there you go. Go to the next one. One
Okay.
more.
Yes.
And here you go, as we're talking about suites, just thought this was a good segue. This is a couple of shots of the suite sun deck area.
Oh, wow.
It is 2 stories. I mean, so many beautiful seating areas. There is a large hot tub, but this is a true pool. If you zoom in, I think it says
Mhm.
4'6" or
I need
something like
4
that,
feet. Yeah.
with a lifeguard on the concierge deck. It's not a splash pad, it is an actual pool. And there's a section called the Grove as you enter, which is a pool buffet area,
Oh my
basically.
God. Look at
And
that
they
food
had
court.
everything
Wow.
from and bar. They had everything from, like sliders to, lamb chops. So everything from like, the kind of pool thing you want to elevated food items available there. That's in addition to the offerings inside the concierge lounge and coastal kitchen. So I just wanted to really kind of showcase this because the pool, full on pool in the concierge deck is pretty cool.
Sam,
Yeah.
we've gone beyond tea sandwiches now. I'm sorry.
I mean, I love me the tea sandwiches in the concierge lounge on Disney Cruise Line, but this is,
I
I mean,
love me one of those burgers, or is that like a steak or a
you know,
rack of
like,
lamb over there?
oh, it's lamb.
It's
It
lamb
looks like
chops.
lamb. Yeah,
It's lamb.
lamb lollipops. Yeah, I
Lamb
mean,
by the pool.
yeah, this is a fantastic offering for those who now is this access to sorry, not Star, does C class get
Sky
this access? Or
C does not get this access.
so re
Only Sky and Star.
This is the one thing where I would say, like, I think Suite Class on Royal is personally, I think Suite Class on Royal is worth it, but I think you've gotta be at least Sky, or Star. I mean, you don't have to do Star, that's really where you get the butler, and you said everything really almost everything included. But I think in order to really get the benefits of their concierge, like, offerings on Royal, I don't think C Class is really gonna cut it. I think you're better off just staying regular or making the jump to Sky. That's just my personal
Yeah,
opinion.
C class is basically a junior suite category only for the most part, and you can have occasional access to Coastal Kitchen if it's available with a reservation for dinner. But otherwise, it doesn't really get you a lot of benefits. So, um, and
So it's just a
moving
slightly better
up.
room.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So moving up to Sky class, I think is the way to go. Having done a Royal Genie, I love the Royal Genie, but I don't necessarily feel like I need a Royal Genie most of the time. I don't necessarily see the value in it all the time, but I think the value in the Sky class is fantastic.
It's what I appreciate about you, Karen, because even when we sailed Mega Rockstar, we had like you were like, "Are you sure? Like maybe Rockstar?" And
You
we were
really
like,
want it?
"Mega, no, we want Mega." And so I
No,
appreciate that. Sometimes you
I
bring us back to reality, and I appreciate that.
yes, but I also appreciate that Kaylee's like, "No, I stay Mega Rockstar and I'm gonna
But
stay
I was
Star
I
Class."
was ready to book the sunset suite there, which is Sky.
Yeah.
And
Oh, there you go.
Karen wisely said, when you're thinking about it, you have to think about the things that are no longer included. Now you're buying, the beverage package or the specialty dining package, or you know what I mean? There are
Yeah.
definitely different ways to look at it, and you have to decide which of those amenities are important to you.
Yeah.
Of course, Kaylee's gonna book Mega because she tries to shake her phone when she's at home to get champagne, and
And nothing
it's a
happens.
broken
And
feature.
no, Rob comes running.
Rob comes
Rob
lightning.
probably does come running with the glasses and the bottle.
So
I would
so
hope not.
Definitely.
so we did have some questions coming in through comments about staterooms. So I think this is a good time to sort of just dig into some of those. We had someone ask about the infinite ocean view
Oh, yeah.
room and whether the window goes all the way up. So I don't know if you got to see one of those or know anything about
We
those.
did. We did. I don't have photos of that in this presentation, but I'm happy to share them. And, Kaylee, maybe what we can do is share some of these questions and photos over the next few days. The infinite verandas are awesome because you have kind of that balcony space inside your room. You have a curtain that shuts it if you want to have somebody sitting in that seating area, and then the window opens like halfway, and you have like a switch that comes down from the top and goes down, so it's like halfway open, like a veranda would, like a
Yeah.
veranda balcony would
And
be.
when it's closed, it's just a window, a wall of windows is essentially,
It's just
right?
a
So you
wall
get
of
the
windows,
whole
and
room.
there's another switch for a blackout, uh
Curtain.
a shade that comes
Yeah.
down that does a
And
really
those
good
suites
job
are
of
available,
closing
or
that.
those rooms are available with the ocean view and with the Central Park view and with the Surfside view. So they're not just ocean view.
These are like the celebrity suites that they
Yes.
started with. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah. Which makes
exactly.
sense
Yeah.
because Royal owns celebrities, so they've borrowed something from the luxury end. So yeah, that's cool. There were some questions about those surfside family suites, and so Elizabeth is asking, how many people do they sleep? Are those the ones that sleep six? I don't think they sleep six, right? Or do they?
There is a Surfside family suite that sleeps six.
Oh, okay.
Wow, I said that. I'm ready for the
That was good.
Cool. Peter Piper
I'm
picks a
ready
peck of
for the
pickled peppers.
song at the dueling piano bar where you had to say some S's and SH's. There is one you have we have photos of that as well. Bunk beds when you come into the room, with each with their own individual TV, and then a sofa bed that can sleep two, and then the regular bed. And did that have a split bath also, Kaylee?
I don't. That one did have a split bath. Yep, that one did have a split bath.
That
Yep.
one also had a split bath. So, um, those, I think we may be getting the names mixed up because there's also the Surfside Family Suite. There's one of them that um, is currently classified as Sky Class. And we recently noticed, I think I shared this somewhere, that they are reclassifying it. They are bumping it down to C
Yeah.
class.
See, that was yeah,
So
that was the suite I was looking at on Icon at one point for us to go on Icon, because that was the low. It was like the lowest in Sky Class suite
Right.
available. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
The
guess
other
they didn't want six kids and, they didn't want to have to put all those people into the sky class category.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Vanessa is also asking on those the from the Surfside area. I mean, do you do you know? Can you hear noise from the Surfside area in the rooms? I mean, my sense is that like when the windows are closed or the balcony doors are closed, they're pretty quiet. But
You cannot hear a thing when the windows are closed and the balcony doors. When you
okay,
open them, yes, there is plenty of ambient noise coming wafting up, but we were very impressed when you closed those, whether it was the Infinite or the veranda, at how
Yep.
noise proof it was.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then Vanessa was also asking if by any chance you were able to see any accessible staterooms and how what
We
those look
sure
like.
did. We sure did. And we have some photos of an accessible Surfside view balcony, I think. Is that the
Surfside family balcony, yeah.
Yep. And it has all the features that you would expect of an accessible stateroom, lots of space, lots of all the great standard features, and we can share some of those photos as well.
I feel like maybe speaking out of turn, but I feel like Royal has a pretty good uh accommodation or
Sam, Rob is
accessibility.
here with the champagne.
Oh.
This is literally the best moment ever. Rob, where's mine? That's all I want to know.
For
You don't
those
have to
listening after the
shake,
We're
fact,
all
no.
going to be shaking our
Shake.
phones.
for those listening after the
How come
fact,
Brian's not moving?
Kaylee's husband Rob just came in and delivered a bottle of champagne in a glass. So there you go. But I was gonna say I feel like Royal has a decent track record with this accessibility. I haven't heard about too many issues for them with
I
accessibility.
think they do. I think we should make note that we did notice the hideaway area, the adult
Yes.
only pool area, while we saw a lift um, for, I guess, maybe the hot tubs to get down to the pool and bar area. We could not identify an accessible route.
Oh,
So it's possible that there was some sort of, crew way in that would be accessible, but that may be one part of the ship that is not accessible and something that we would need to look into a little bit further. But everything else seemed great.
okay.
Okay,
And then
good to know.
I think
Yeah.
there's a couple more questions here. One was Wesley's asking, I'd love to hear about regular staterooms that sleep five or more that are not infinite balcony. I think those are the family suites that we've been talking about. But I wonder what about for like folks who might have not littles as well. Like what are the options for kind of those folks who would normally I think be in like a family deluxe family veranda on Disney?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of different stateroom configurations, and really, it's hard to keep them all in our head.
Yeah.
Um, but they do have kind of a sofa bed with trundle situation. And Kaylee and I were trying to figure it out back and forth. Kaylee, I finally did confirm that the beds can actually be set up as a trundle with one low and one high, or you can lift it up and make it into one kind of queen size bed. It's an option on those beds that have that trundle feature. If you see a room that has a handle under the sofa, that's a trundle bed. Um, and then for the families of five, they do have a drop down bunk. There's also a different way of connecting
I
rooms.
was just going to say
Um,
this, yeah.
yeah, why don't you go ahead and share about that?
So this was a different type of connecting room than I've ever seen before. So instead of an interior door that connects two staterooms for connecting, it's an exterior door that closes that they can sort of bring out into the hallway, and then a little vestibule, and the interior doors open. So if you've ever stayed at
Wow.
like a hotel, like a Four Seasons or someplace where the connecting is on the outside, and then your interior, your actual stateroom doors can open up, and so you can go back and forth that way.
So they can sell
And
them
there
as
are
oh, go ahead.
no interior connecting doors on this class of ship. They're all exterior like that.
So they can sell them as non-connecting rooms, basically, or if you want them,
Exactly.
then
Exactly.
yeah, that's cool.
Exactly.
Matthew's asking, and
Exactly.
this is an impossible question to answer. So Karen, feel free to punt this one. But I do wonder,
This was
like,
the first room when
just
he was
just
asked that question with it was your room. If
yeah.
there's I
But
don't know if you can even give a ballpark.
but I was gonna say, is there like I think about Disney Cruise Line being about $1,000, a day at times for like a family veranda
I will
room.
just tell you, I'm horrible at keeping numbers in my head. I think the question then was cost.
Yeah.
Not sure exactly what the question was. I quoted Star and Icon for early June 2026, 7 night ocean view balcony for two people. And I would say it was starting around 3,200 per person. So 64, 6,500 for the week at that time. Um, that was earlier today. I think I got that correct. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
these are the newer ships. If you look at like the newly renovated Allure that's doing 6 and 8 night alternating, Western and Southern, in the same time frame, it's quite a bit less expensive. So just like with any product, you're paying a premium
For
for
the new
the
one.
for the
For
newest
the
ship.
new
I
ship.
have to say, I think it's worth it. I mean, personally, this ship is amazing. I just think that like if you're going and want to have a fun time with a group of people or with families, this is just such a fantastic option. We haven't even started talking about the entertainment and the food.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We're already running up to an hour, but let's hang out a little bit longer here and talk food. So this looks like some amazing food to me. Talk to us about like
These are
yeah,
quick bites. Love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Quick service.
So on the left, we have the soft serve ice cream station that's in the Surfside area. So that's available, at no additional cost, just like we're used to on our Disney cruise ships. In the center, I believe this was at Base Camp, which is sort of a family friendly like outside poolside sort of place that had all kinds of great options. I mean, they had burgers and fries and tots and all of that, but then also many other things with a whole outdoor seating area. And then on the right, you've got some of the goodies at what Karen was talking about earlier, the Pearl Cafe. So up at the top of like sort of in the Royal Promenade area. And they would change these out throughout the day. Down on the bottom are those egg bites that Karen loved. And this is breakfast, so they had a number of different breakfast sandwiches, and then they changed them out with different things throughout the day. And there are like 4 or 5 cases with all different things, so
That's just such a variety of
including
food
those.
there that like
Yeah.
I'm just not used to seeing on
I
Disney.
will
Yeah.
say that's one of the things that Royal does really well. In fact, it's just like the variety of food on board is generally greater than what's the variety on Disney. I mean, I mean, the
And
quality's not
and
always better, or even as good, but there's generally, more variety, I would say, than on Disney, and I think the buffet reflects that, in
one
particular.
of my like disappointments about Royal until now has been the lack of easy to grab food on the pool deck. And then they added LF Loco Fresh, which is kind of like your, Tex-Mex on the pool deck. But now on Icon and Star, in addition to El Loco Fresh, they have this base camp. And I was just so excited to see like a burger and tots, or they had pretzel bites and things like that.
Nice.
Um,
You're speaking my love language with pretzel bites. I am
there you
obsessed with
go. There you
pretzels.
go.
Yeah.
And pizza, Sorrento's Pizza is a classic on all Royal ships. It's open till like 3 a.m. They also have a gluten-free pizza that you can order. Really solid pizza. If you want something more elevated, you can go to Giovanni's Wine Bar and get something there. Um, Kaylee's got to talk about the pad thai.
Oh my gosh, I'm still dreaming about this pad thai. It was so delicious. So one of the included options is the Aqua Dome Market, which is sort of a food court kind of vibe. So like kind of similar to Virgin, where there are a few different stalls that are offering different types of food. And there's like a barbecue stall, and there was this Thai food stall. There was a stall where they were making French crepes, and then there was a Mediterranean stall. And we tried out almost all, oh, I think all of them actually. We ended up going for dinner one night to the Aquadome Market, and this is the pad thai that I had. And I woke up dreaming about it the next morning, and we had
It
to go back
looks
for lunch, which on a ship with so many options really tells you, you know,
it looks amazing.
It looked really good.
All of this
so
food looks amazing.
flavorful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all
And
of the
then
food.
over
The
on the
pad
right there,
thai
we
was
have the,
so yeah, I'm gonna ode to the pad thai.
yes,
And
please.
but Brian, you gotta go back a second. I know
Go back.
we're talking a lot, but I also had the Mediterranean at that same food court. But on the right there are the Oreo cheesecakes, and
Ooh.
I have to say that they are better. I believe that they're better than Disney's.
I gotta tell
Um,
you, the new Oreo cheesecake thing that they're doing on Disney is just trash, and, like, it is not the Oreo cheesecake that I love is the one that's the wedge that looks like a real piece of cheesecake. Now they're doing this weird ovally looking thing that just looks like a fancy dessert. It's not, and it's, like, whipped, and it's just not the same. It is not the same. So, I am open to finding a new Oreo cheesecake. So, if you're telling
yes.
me, Karen, that this is a better one, then
And we
I
we did see two varieties, one in Windjammer and one at the Pearl Cafe. I think the Pearl Cafe had like some more like cream on top, but the base was identical. And
It was so good.
I am a fan, absolutely. Um,
Is this main
Here's the
dining
main
now?
dining.
Yeah.
Main dining now. I have to say, we did pay the upcharge to get the surf and turf. $35 a person. You can get the filet and lobster tail at main dining any night you wish. Everything else, we had standard, soup, salad, desserts. And I think we agreed they were all on par with Disney Cruise Line, basically. Good to very good. Not I think necessarily anything like excellent that we had in main dining. Um, but very standard fare. And we felt like after one night we had experienced main dining, and that's why we decided to try some other options,
Mhm,
like going to the food court that one night.
mhm.
Now,
Love it.
these look like the specialty dining, so I've clearly got hibachi here, which I love
Mhm.
this location for hibachi off of Central Park because the ships we've been on, it's been kind of in the basement.
Yes.
They have made Azumi so gorgeous. It's expanded. And I think that's one of the things. It's like it might seem like the same number of restaurants in Central Park, but I feel like Central Park is longer because, they have expanded it. And there's so many hibachi tables inside Azumi now. And that space, that's like the prime table right there with all the windows. Um, just gorgeous. Hooked is over there by the Aquadome. It's seafood. On the right, we have the Supper Club, which was just a gorgeous venue that does not photograph very well because it's dark and intimate with like a little stage on. And then Kaylee and I had girl dinner the last night at Giovanni's Wine Bar, and it was fantastic. We had apps and pizza and wine, and highly recommend.
Love it. I have to say I've been super impressed with Royal's specialty dining. Of course, it's an add-on charge, but you can pay for like a add-on, like a 3 nights of dining in, specialty restaurants or unlimited specialty dining. That's one of the different packages that you can buy. And I think, or you can upgrade and have the Royal Genie and on and be in star class and have it all included. But I do think that's one area where it's worth the upcharge, although maybe less so on this ship because there are so many other options like the pad thai. I'm thinking I gotta try that.
What is there? So in terms of, let's talk just between Icon and Star. Are there different any different or new dining experiences on Star that aren't on Icon?
I think that they've changed the name of the supper club between the ships.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
Otherwise, I
Aquadome
believe,
Marketplace is a little bit different. The offerings in the Aquadome Marketplace are a little different on Icon.
Okay. And what's the
Yeah.
supper club
yeah.
has a show aspect to it, Karen?
Yeah, there's a stage where they can do kind of like a little, I mean, I don't know what the music is, but it felt like a little like a jazz club.
It's
Nice.
Oh,
supposed
there's
to be, yeah,
also a
like a
jazz
roaring
club.
20s kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the one on Icon is called Empire Supper Club, and I think that that one is kind of like that Boardwalk Empire vibe, right? Like that show with the gangsters and it's like a Roaring 20s kind of feel. And so I think that's what kind of they're going for with this. Oh, look
Does
at these
Yeah.
drinks.
does this ship have any like speakeasy kind of bars on? I know that's something that they were doing on I thought the Oasis class refurbs or maybe the Icon.
W- We didn't find any
We didn't
speakeasies.
find a
Maybe you just
speakeasy,
didn't look
no.
hard enough or know the password. But no,
Well,
okay.
maybe
Maybe.
not. We didn't hear any buzz about a speakeasy, but I will tell you that um, after on the first day we had a couple misses with cocktails, and I think it was more ordering the wrong thing than the cocktails not being good. Um, the cocktails overall on this cruise were fantastic. We're usually
Mhm.
not fans of the mixology on Royal Caribbean, and they have definitely upped their game here. And um, just know to ask for the kind of liquor you want. We were
Yeah.
in the Dueling Pianos bar, and they have a drink. All the drinks are themed towards music, and wanted to order the gin blossom. And I just thought to ask, "What kind of gin do you use?" And she pulled out like the Well gin, but I saw the botanist and Hendrix behind her, so I said, "Can you make it with botanist?" And she said, "Absolutely." So I don't I think that with beverage packages, that's probably included. There might be an upcharge depending on what type of alcohol you request. I don't know the exact prices for everything, but it's worth it to ask, if you're picky about certain things, to go ahead and ask for what you want. We had a great espresso martini at Giovanni's versus being disappointed at the espresso martini on tap at Schooner Bar. There's a great bar. Kaylee, what is it called on the top right picture?
That's 1400, like off of the Royal Promenade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel like so I think people have this image in their mind and it sparked the question earlier about does it feel crowded? We've been in some nightclub venue type of spaces on an Oasis class. I feel it can feel a little full, right? And did you find that if you wanted to just get a quiet drink in the evening, you could find a spot to do that and not feel like you were sort of surrounded by tons and tons of people? Or like I'm just curious about the nightlife aspect.
I think that Central Park was a great place to grab a glass of champagne, and they had, I think I have a photo, a harpist one night. Um, there's different parts of the ship that are going to be quieter or busier, and then sometimes that could change from hour to hour, right? So, a lounge that might be quiet all of a sudden might get full with the next activity. So, I think that when you explore the ship, you'll find, as we noted, there's a lot of music. Um, in the daytime, especially on the pool deck, you're going to kind of go from area to area, and there's a lot of music. But then at night on the pool deck, hot tip: the hot tubs did not seem to close, and they were quiet and peaceful and beautiful, and a great place to unwind. So
Nice.
you can always find something, I think.
Yeah, we learned on Virgin that the pool's open 24 hours, so like you can just sit out there with a drink anytime you want. It was
Love
fascinating.
it.
Yeah.
um, awesome.
That's what you get when you don't have kids on a ship. I
Oh
mean,
my
that's just
gosh,
really what it is.
it's a complete
Here's the
running
running
track.
track.
Complete
Yeah,
running
this is
track.
the running so I will say, Royal does a nice job with its running tracks. They are quite protected. You don't have a lot of people, like, walking through them, and they're
Mhm.
not, like there are really people walking. You don't have people just, like, standing and playing shuffleboard and in your way and having to dodge them. So that's one thing, and then here's, of course, obviously a shot of the gym. they've got full, full gyms on board all of their ships, cardio and weight machines as well. These are the venues I'm more interested in talking about, which
Dueling
is
pianos?
yeah. So dueling, is this full time a dueling piano bar? And then obviously this is like this was the Aqua show on the right hand
Right.
side. But yeah, is this full time a dueling piano bar?
This is the Dueling Pianos Bar. That is the name. It is every time it's open, there are dueling pianos.
That's
And it was fantastic. And we tried out both adult dueling pianos and family friendly dueling pianos. Karen is a huge aficionado, and so she dragged me back again and again and again, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Karen, you and me at a dueling piano bar anytime. I'm all about them. Love the sing along.
I'm gonna just go and park myself there, and it was so fun. There still is the designated karaoke spotlight karaoke venue as well on these ships. But these is a guy and a woman, and they were fantastic. I mean, when we went the first night, we caught the tail end of the earlier show because we had been at Back to the Future, and it was standing room only. But you could stand and you could still participate. And then we just went and we're like, we're going to go early and get a seat for the next show because people did kind of clear out. And we just went and had a drink and had our prime spot. Super, super fun, and highly, highly recommend. We talked about the Aqua show on the right. Amazing. And it was not, there was some technical issues that they were still ironing out, so we missed little components of the show. But the talent and the visuals, the acrobatics, the synchronized swimming, the diving, the dancing, all there.
Amazing.
Love that.
Amazing.
Now I know you mentioned the show, and here's the stage.
I forgot about Back to the Future the musical.
Yes,
tell us how it was.
I know. I had texted you guys ahead of time about this, and I was like, "Please tell me you're going because I need to hear your view." Let's throw this one over to Kaley. Kaley, tell us, what did you think of Back to the Future, and is it as good as a show you might see on Broadway in New York?
It was phenomenal. I have not seen Back to the Future the musical, although I'm very familiar with the movie. So it stayed very close to the storyline. I don't know how that compares to the musical. It definitely had a little bit of a campy vibe to it in a way that really worked and was very fun. And the show that we saw was actually the first time that they performed it live for an actual audience. Even though they'd done plenty of, rehearsals and all of that. And we had I think there was one little glitch where they, said, "Oh, don't you love live theater? Stick with us for a few minutes and we're figuring something out." I don't know what happened. We couldn't sort of figure it out. But it didn't take away from the show at all. The acting was fantastic. The actors were great. And the singing was very fun. There's a 16-piece orchestra that plays the music, which just blew me away, especially as the mom of a musician. I thought that was a really, really cool addition and absolutely comparable to other shows that I've seen either on Royal or on Disney or even on Broadway. Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, wow. Love it. Yeah. I mean, I think it is really close, if not identical, to the national tour version, which obviously was a slight adaptation of, the West End and the Broadway show. And so, because obviously they probably have to, the sets might be a little bit different. I think that's probably the main issue, is just the sets, and the car and stuff might have to be a little bit less special effects for on the ship, but
it was incredible. I cannot even believe they did that at sea. I mean, it was
yeah. Not to give it all away, but the special effects were like jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
And this is something that is included, but you do need to make a reservation ahead of time. They have, our sailing, they showed it 3 times. So I assume there'll be plenty of performances on a week long. So fun.
Amazing.
Including a matinee. I do like that they offer the matinee.
Yeah.
So wait, sorry if I missed this in the discussion. Did they have the DeLorean on stage, and did it do anything?
Well, yes. We don't want to give away all the. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. She said.
We'll
they
talk
said
off air.
There's a DeLorean.
We'll talk off air. Amazing. All right.
Yeah. Fantastic. And then here's the harpist, and that was the harpist in
Yes.
Central Park that Karen had mentioned, was out there
Right.
playing. They do have musicians that perform around the ships on Royal,
Live
obviously.
music all over the place. Yeah.
So many performances, live music, nighttime like parties through the promenade, like, balloon drops, all kinds of activities. I mean, really, you could never say you're going to be bored on this ship. We didn't talk about the spa, which is, massive and gorgeous. Still not a fan of their, what do you call it?
Their
The
thermal or
room,
like their
the thermal
rainforest kind of
spa, the
thing, the
thermal
thermal
spa
Yeah.
spa.
does not
Yeah.
have windows, so I'm not a fan of that, of
When
it being
when
enclosed.
we saw it on Harmony or one of the ships that we were, the Oasis ships, I was like, this is
It
the
was
same.
Allure
I was like,
Oasis, I
this
can't
is the same size as the ones they have on the Magic and the Wonder, and the ship is like twice the size. So like,
yeah,
I'm like, I was unimpressed. I agree. I kind of unimpressed with that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so as we wind down here, I'm going to do. I think we've reached that point in the show, Sam, where I'm going to ask some arbitrary questions, apply no judgment, and have no rules.
What?
And we're going to do a little bit of some Brian rapid fire here because I have some questions.
I
So,
need my champagne.
so, so
Exactly.
my first question is to each of you. I just want to do some favorites from on board. So, what was your favorite dining venue on board, Kaley?
So because this was a preview cruise, the specialty dining reservations were all allocated. So you couldn't just book specialty dining. So we sort of had to fend for ourselves. And my favorite that we experienced was that we went to Giovanni's table. We sort of tweaked the system and walked up to the bar. And like Karen said, we had sort of girl dinner, heavy apps and great wine. And I didn't realize that you could just walk up to the bar and have dinner like that. I thought you had to have a reservation. So that was really cool.
Nice.
The ones, as for ones we didn't experience, I'm super intrigued by the supper club.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is like, when you go back, what's the one that you didn't get to do that you most want to do? So it sounds like it's
The
the
supper club.
for
Yeah.
Karen,
Yeah.
what about you? Favorite on board that you experienced and the one that you want to do if you go back?
Definitely just love the vibe of girl dinner. I would probably eat that pad thai and that Mediterranean bowl that I had, like, 24/7. That was just great, easy food if you don't need to sit at the dining room. Um, I want to go back to Izumi and do not the hibachi, but do the omakase. Is
Yeah.
that how it
The
is? Where
sushi?
you do like a whole sushi dinner. I think that would be incredible.
Nice. Yeah,
Nice.
that would be fabulous. Favorite bar space on board or just favorite place to grab an adult beverage? Karen?
I loved the vibe in that 1400 on the first floor there. It was just a fun venue. You felt like the bartenders like really knew what they were doing and had great cocktails. Oh, Haley has another answer.
My favorite was the hideaway in the afternoon and evening. So the hideaway is an area of the ship that we haven't really talked that much about. That is adults only. It's got some hot tubs, a pool, like a really massive pool, and then there's a very large bar on a whole back corner of the ship, and it gives sort of Meridian vibes. Like it's like the place to be for a sunset. And I could not believe how empty it was. I mean, we sort of had it to ourselves, and I had the best drink that I had on the whole ship there several times. So it was that was my favorite spot, but not during the day when the DJ was playing, but in the evening when it had sort of thinned out and the sunset was spectacular.
Okay, I got to ask a personal question here for me personally. Do they have an escape room on board the ship? Nice.
They do
They
indeed.
do.
Yes.
My new favorite
And I
pastime.
think there might be two themes for it, if I
Oh, that's cool.
understood what I was reading
Ooh.
correctly.
That's cool.
Well, it is a 7-night cruise, so you can absolutely do 2 escape rooms in a 7-night cruise.
Yes.
Easy. And a Broadway show that's like 3 hours. So yeah, no question. You can fit all that in.
Okay, just
Yeah.
a couple more questions for me. All right, favorite like non-bar, non-restaurant, like favorite space on board the ship to just relax and hang out. Kaley?
Oh gosh. I don't know. Can I pass to Karen and come back?
There you go. Karen?
Am I allowed to say dueling pianos?
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. That's
Yes,
fair. Totally
yeah.
fair. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, dueling pianos was pretty amazing. Like I said, Karen's the aficionado for sure, but I had a really good time there.
Okay.
There were a couple of bars that we didn't spend much time in. One of them called Bolero, which I think has live music pretty often, that we sort of passed through. There were a number of spaces that we didn't get to actually spend time in, but some very pretty spaces.
Nice. All right. So I've got one question here from Tracy and then one last question for both of you. So the question from Tracy was, Karen and Kaley, comparing the cost service to Disney, what are your thoughts? And I will say, I have talked about this on the show before when we've sailed Royal. I always feel like it typically clocks in at a lower price tag than not if you're sailing Star Class. Let me just set aside Star Class, but usually at Sky Class and below, it clocks in at a fairly comparable or below what Disney would price a similarly sized stateroom and sailing for. And I always break this question down into sort of if Royal gets me 80% of the Disney experience and I'm missing what I feel like is 20%, is the 20% worth the additional charge to me on Disney or not? That's kind of how I've thought about this question. Karen, Kaley, I don't know how you think about this. Like, as you compare this between Disney and something like Icon, as opposed to the sort of the full Royal fleet, where do you come out on sort of this cost service equation between Icon and like sailing on a Disney cruise?
He means Icon class, so Icon.
Yes, Icon class. Icon and Star.
Right.
Yeah.
I personally think that Disney is its own category of vacation, right? Like we always say, like there's a piece of our heart that is connected to Disney in a way that I won't have that emotional connection to a Royal Caribbean cruise, except for the amazing memories that I'm going to make on it, right? So, but so I think of it more as, do I want to go on a Disney cruise or do I want to go on like a really fun all-inclusive vacation or a really fun Vegas trip? Because that's more of what I would put the Royal Caribbean thing in. So it's just it's not, it's a different type of vacation experience, and there's a great place for that. Like I think it's an amazing vacation experience. It's just different, right? So there's hopefully room in my vacation heart for both. Um,
I could not
you
have put it
pay a little
better.
extra for that. You pay a little extra
Yeah.
for that. Those Disney, the Disney nostalgia.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better. I don't think it's apples to apples. Like it's two completely separate vacations for me. And Disney will always have our heart. I mean, my daughter grew up on Disney. We have the connection to those stories and those characters. But this was super fun. And like Karen said, when you go to Vegas and you sort of spend the whole time going, wow, 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 that's sort of what Royal felt like. And I put this teaser in my travel group, and I said, like, I boarded the ship thinking that I was going to learn some things for my clients and sort of, this would be a great experience. And I left the ship thinking that I would book it for my family because we had an amazing time. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Sam, I've secretly been looking on the web browser for, spring break 2027. So yeah, let me just ask, I mean, I think you've kind of implicitly answered this. Let me just ask this straight out, which is, so Disney Cruise Line family is over here and they're thinking about taking their next cruise. Like, what is the reason why they should think about Royal instead of taking that Disney cruise?
Well, maybe they have older kiddos who are looking for something sort of more than the aqueduct and the kids club. They want some more sort of thrills. Maybe they're a couple who is traveling without their kids and they want something that's got more adult options. Not that Disney doesn't have them, but there are going to be more options on Royal. I think a Disney family would have an amazing time on a Royal Caribbean cruise, but it's not a Disney cruise.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. I think also like if you're okay without like character experiences, right, on board, like I'm not saying you will, like yes, you might miss them, but like if it's, you can enjoy the cruise experience without having those character experiences and without having the Disney storytelling and having some really good storytelling that's just not Disney themed, right? Like so, and not all of the ships. I think we're really, when we're talking about this, we're talking about Icon and Star that have the newest amenities, the newest shows, the newest restaurants, and they've really like leveled up the experience. I think not all of the older ships would I say are necessarily something I would recommend. But I do think just depends on the ship, right? Like it depends on the ship and when how much they've been, retrofitted or, dry docked or whatnot. So it really depends. But in this case, like I do think we're talking about a leveled up experience on these brand new ships. And I think the thrills part is a huge part of this as well. Cause I do think like some of the tween teenagers and older, they might feel like they've sort of not all, but some feel like they've sort of grown out of some of those Disney experiences. It kind of depends on the personality. Everybody knows their own kids, right? Some kids do kind of grow out of those Disney experiences and maybe they rediscover them again as adults, maybe they don't. But those are the kids that I think are really royal. This is sort of that Royal Cruise is really designed to really serve. And I do think Nathan loved some of those. He's not the biggest, he's not a rock climber, but he loves like the wave, the flow rider, right? So do you think that's a great recommendation for that family, particularly whose kids maybe feel like they've outgrown some of those Disney experiences?
Well, as we round out what is a supersized episode for a supersized ship, Karen, we've been flashing it on the screen, but remind folks if they want to give Icon a try or they want to book for really almost any
Star
cruise.
try,
Like
or any Royal Cruise, frankly, if they're interested.
Tell them how they can find and reach you.
So Kaley, I want to just mention Kaley and I came back with gifts. We were able to book the next cruise offer that we can share with our clients. So that's why I had the next cruise logo up earlier. So only that onboard offer that you usually can get only if you're sailing, we were able to get a limited number, but a fair amount to share with any of you all who want to book any Royal Caribbean cruise. We're going to give away some swag for anybody that books the Star. So the first 2 Star bookings that we get are going to get a swag pack. And you can reach us at the DCL Duo at mypathunwinding.com or mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo.
Well, Karen, Kaley, it is always a treat to have you on, and tell Rob next time we're recording at your house, Kaley, so that we can all have
champagne.
Perfect.
But fabulous to have you both on. Thank you so much for sharing this fantastic cruise and all this information about Star. We might have to have you set aside one of those offers. We will see. But thank you so much for coming on. For everyone out there listening, watching, we will be on hiatus next Monday because we will be aboard the Disney Wonder sailing to, or actually we'll be embarking on the Disney Wonder to Alaska. So our first time in Alaska.
Embarkation.
Yeah, but we will be back Monday. Well, we will be back either Monday or Tuesday, a week later. Stay tuned. We're trying to figure out the date for a live episode with us to talk about Alaska.
Talk about our Alaska cruise, obviously.
Yeah. I've been joking all summer. Everyone that we know who has some kind of podcast or vlog has been on a Disney cruise this summer to Alaska. So I've been saying, like, we may not have the first word, but we will have the last. So we will let you know how our sailing went. Plus, we've got some fun things to share with you about some things we're going to get up to in Vancouver before the cruise. And also our excursions, I think, are going to be pretty fantastic, hopefully. And we will be sailing in the Roy Disney Suite. So there's that. So we'll be talking all about that experience. One and done on that probably for us, but it will be fun nonetheless. So stay tuned for that. But with that, everyone out there, thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging in. Thank you for watching. And we will see you in 2 weeks to talk more about Alaska. So thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you, everybody.